For high-protein vegan meal preps delivered to your door and for all one-to-one coaching needs, go to plantgeezer.co.uk. Purito Preps. No nonsense. High protein, plant-based.
Terry is
Yep.
in the building. What is going on, Terry? How you
What's
doing, mate?
going
Where are
on?
you? What is
Well,
happening?
I'm in Melbourne, Australia. Sunday, getting on for 5 o'clock, 5 p.m. Just my day of rest, really. Today it's the only day I get to do private stuff. I work full time, Monday to Friday, and Saturday is my day of activism. I leave home about 10 o'clock, and don't usually get home to about 9, 10 o'clock at night.
What part of you say you're in Dandenong?
I'm in the Dandenong Ranges, in the mountains.
Oh, mate, I remember going there, man, because I did 2.5 years in
Yeah,
Melbourne. It feels like a
yeah.
lifetime. It feels like that's my home still, but it was only 2.5
Mhm.
years. Back in 2013, 2014, and 2015. What
Yeah.
I remember going up to. I mean, it's the best for me. It's the best city in the world. I know that you've lived there for a long time,
Mm.
and for you, it's just home. But it's got a special place in my heart, man. Melbourne. I remember going up to Dandenong Ranges. Am I right in saying there was like an English tea cottage or something
Yeah,
like that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's it, mate. I remember now. And with it, it's got
There's,
some really good views, and you got the walks and
yeah,
the forest.
there's a lot of European influence up there. There's a lot like it's German restaurants and stuff, and
Yeah,
there's a restaurant. I think it's Alinda. They have a Christmas in July for all the Europeans to go there and get freezing cold, and have
ah,
a roasted dead animal on a plate. Like
oh god,
um, yeah, they push it every year. Christmas in July at the tavern somewhere in. I'm not going to advertise it, but yeah, it's up there.
mm, got ya.
Um,
Well, this is the
and
thing, mate. This is the thing now. So when I look back to places I've been and places I've loved, I always think, would I think of it the same now I know what I know?
yeah,
Thailand. Oh, I
yeah,
love Thailand. I'd live in Thailand. Now that I've been vegan for 6 years, it's like, God, would I? Where would my mind be? Do you know what I mean? So I
yeah,
think I don't know if I'd think differently, mate. But you moved over in what, the 80s to Aussie?
yeah. Later, 87, I came over.
Yeah. And what were you the same as me, mate? Did you think that it was just 10 times better, or did
Oh,
you?
look, well, I left school at 16, basically unqualified, and I joined the Merchant Navy.
Yeah,
So by 17, I was on my first ships, my first ship, and went all around the world. By the 80s, I was early 80s. I met a beautiful Australian girl on a cruise ship, on a P&O cruise ship, um, and I thought, yeah, Australia. Look, like I had a bit of I had a bit of a shitty upbringing, and I think I was always running away. Crappy
yeah,
parents or a crappy stepfather, really, and
yeah.
so I was in the Navy, which was one way of getting away. That got me out of the house, got my own place, um, and then when I met my future wife, I thought, well, Australia. In the 80s in England, people's ambition was to emigrate to Australia. It was the lucky country. It was seen as the place to go. So yeah, my opportunity came up, and I went out on a 12-month visa, working visa, and we'd already planned to get married. So that's what I did in '86. I left the Navy and
Mm,
um, and went out and got married by the end of when did I get married? Early '88.
mm.
So, and then, I mean, back then, mate, like we literally got married on a Saturday, went on a honeymoon. The week after, we went to the immigration office with a few pictures of us from over the last couple of years. Remember, I'd been in the Navy. We met on a ship and then parted, and then met up again. She came to UK for a few weeks. I came to Melbourne on a ship, and we met up. So we had just had a collection of photographs went to the immigration office. By the end of the day, mate, I was an Australian resident. You know,
Bloody
that
hell.
was it. Back in 1988, it was pretty easy. Yeah.
It's not the same now, is it?
So yeah, it's a bit different nowadays. But
And obviously, you know, you were there for the girl, for the marriage, but as a place,
yeah,
what I mean, have you ever missed home, or is that
it
is it
was
just because for
well.
me,
Look,
it's just better, man.
immediately I did not miss England. You know, I left
Mm,
Thatcher Britain. You know,
mm,
not that I was interested in politics, but you know, my friends were struggling. The people that my mates that I was still only a young 20 odd year old, and so no, it was a whole new country. Good wages, low cost of living. Um, I remember walking in a supermarket and they strategically put things where we want to see them. And the fruit and veg section, I remember walking in and going, what the fuck? It was like every UK supermarket in one produce section. You know,
yeah,
there was everything there. And it was fresh, it was glistening, it was well marketed, but you could tell the
yeah,
difference between that and Tesco's in 1987, you
yeah.
know, and
I bet.
unfortunately, the prices have matched up and overtaken UK, but the produce, it's probably got a bit crap these days. They say most of the nutrients are gone, and I don't know, but
Yeah,
I'm still pretty bloody healthy, and that's all I eat. So, you
yeah.
know,
And so, despite the Aussie culture and the barbecues and the burgers and the crocodile and the what's the weird one, the kangaroo meat, what? How did you find yourself wrapped up in the vegan world, Terry?
how did I? Well, look, I'm not sure if you saw my speech from Nard, but I finally told my story online.
I do
Um,
apologise, mate. I didn't get around to watching it, but I
no, that's
will.
okay, mate. That's okay. Well, you're going to hear it now. So,
Yeah.
look, in 2009 or something, I discovered my cousin is living in the Philippines, and he's got a wife there. He's a successful businessman, got out there, retired early. He's having a great life. And I actually was been told about dental holidays in Thailand, getting your teeth done, getting your teeth fixed. And I just called my cousin and said, mate, like, what's the dental industry like? What's the dentist like? And he said, she's awesome. So I went there to get a lot of dental work done. And within 3 days, this was 2010, within 3 days, met a gorgeous, you know, beautiful Filipino girl. Um, so that was me on my next obsession of
Mhm.
getting the fuck out of Australia and going to the Philippines and retire early. There's no way I could have done it then. I was about 46, 47. So I met this gorgeous woman, and you know, like you just fall in love over there. It's so easy, and got me dental work done. But the next thing, I was planning my next holiday back to the Philippines. So I did a holiday there every year for 4 years, and then I was waiting actually for my last dog to pass away because she was, you know, like I didn't want to go and leave her there. I didn't want to give her to someone,
Mm,
um, you know, because I valued dogs back then, you know, like highly, and
mm,
I would never have done that anyway. So, yeah, look, my dog was old, and you know, by the end of 2013, yeah, she was on her last legs basically, and early 2014, she went over the Rainbow Bridge and went to meet the maker. And so I went full steam ahead to actually move out of my house, keep it. I rented it out. I put a load of all my shit into storage, and I went to the Philippines and
mm.
started living in a rental house and moved around a couple of times. Had a new girlfriend, and so this is where I went vegan in. So I got there about the end of 2014, September, and about April, May 2016, I was visiting a friend of mine I'd made a home there on an island called Bohol. Bohol is a very much a touristy place.
I've been to Bohol, mate.
Um,
Yeah, I've been there.
yeah, okay. Well, that's where I was, man, and
Wow.
I was walking. So here's my story. I was walking along a road, just minding my own business, and I heard this spine-chilling scream that I thought was a 6-year-old girl.
Mm.
And like I'm a guy that will go and help. I'm not going to run the other way. I went, fuck, I got to help someone. And I took a few steps forward, and the screaming, I looked, and I saw behind this house, you know, the houses I'm talking about, they pulled this pig out of his hole in the ground. I described it. It was like a hole in the ground with a bit of Rio on top. You know, it's where they kept the pigs while they're waiting to be killed. And they were dragging this pig across the ground. Two guys with an ear each. They were dragging him with all their strength. The pig was digging in. I just froze, man. I thought I was going to go and help a little girl, and now I realise that I couldn't even help the pig because this was what they thought was normal. This was I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop it, and this 30 seconds has turned me into this. So they're
Wow.
dragging him across the ground. The pig was fighting, and this is what I try and get across to people, Jake. When we talk to non-vegans, it's because what people always focus on is how we kill animals, how we do it better than other people, which I think is another thing to question. How about being the best in the world at killing? You know, that's what the UK claim. Australia claim it. We're the best at this shit, you know. And I actually turn it back and go, do you think that's something to be proud of? We're the best. Try that on someone. When next time you hear someone say, "Oh, we got the highest welfare standards," you could say, "What? You mean we're the best at killing animals?"
Mm.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
So anyway, so look, I'm fucking watching this Frozen, this horror scene. This pig, I saw his face, man. It was 12, 15 meters away. And then I saw the third guy waiting at the back of the house. And the guys got to him, the pig screaming like fuck. And then somehow they flipped the pig over. The guy just bent his knees and stabbed him right in the throat. And the fucking
Oh my
blood,
God.
the blood was shooting up about a meter and a half. And I could hear the gurgling, the screaming. I was goosebumps, frozen, witnessing a murder. That's what I said as a non-vegan. This was a murder
Wow.
scene. And then the guy who stabbed him, he must have seen me move or flinch or something, and he's turned and looked. And Jake, that's when I knew I was the man with the knife. I may as well be.
Wow.
I'd eaten fucking hundreds of pigs, mate. My nickname at my previous job was Mr. Egg and Bacon. You know, it was a bit of a joke name with me on it in trucks, driving trucks. We're all on the radio, and I'd call into the same cafe every day to get an egg and bacon roll. And they just, every now and then, they just tease me with, "Hey, Mr. Egg and Bacon." And I just witnessed this fucking murder. What could I do? I didn't know what to
Terry,
do. I
you
walked
know what's
away.
very strange? What's very weird is my first, how can I put it, step in the door was when I was in the Philippines and I was walking down the road and there were two dogs chained up. And I've just come out of this mixed grill place. I was on my own for some reason. My mate was there, and I don't know. I can't remember why I was on my own, but I was craving, some decent food. Because I think we had a rough few days traveling, and I've gone to this mixed grill, and as I'm walking back down the road, I remember it clearly. I had this white tray, and I had all my beef and my pork or whatever was in there. This mixed grill, and I seen these two dogs, and I didn't. I was what 22, 23 maybe. I can't remember. And I never heard the word vegan. I didn't even know that Asia was
No, I didn't know.
bad for dog consumption or anything like that. I'm just naive to the world. And I saw these two dogs, and they're chained up, and they're looking really thin, and they're looking up at me. And I've always had a thing for dogs anyway, as a lot of people have. And
Yeah,
I was eating this meat, and I looked down at these dogs, and I was like, Jesus, like I didn't even know that they're going to be eaten at this point until something just hit me. And I'll give the meat to these dogs. I was like, do you know what? I'm going to feed these dogs. I'm going to give away my expensive meal to these dogs. And I remember them looking at me when I passed the meat to the dogs. They looked at me like I was God. They
Yeah.
couldn't. They didn't even snap my hand off. It was kind of like a shock moment. They were like, I cannot believe this human is giving me food.
They're,
And I fed the dogs, and then behind the dogs, as I carried on walking, I'd give the dogs a stroke, and they ate the food. And then I carried on walking, and then there was just like a cow behind, and then it hit me. I was like, "Oh, okay. So they eat the dogs in Philippines, or in some parts of Philippines anyway." And then
yeah, they do. Yeah.
I've just fed that victim to that victim, and then I've carried on walking, and then my victim is over there, and something just entered my brain, and that was the first moment that anything had crept into my mind. You know what I mean? And I just find it strange.
Yeah.
Yours was the Philippines, mine was the Philippines,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, mate, that's when it kind of happened for me. But back onto yours, mate. What happened then?
Yeah.
So you've witnessed this
Well,
murder.
well,
You've made
you,
the
you
connection
see,
immediately.
well, no, I didn't. I really didn't. But what I was trying to say, what I was saying then was, it's not what we do. This is what I try and get across to people in an outreach. It's not what we do to animals. It's what they do to get away. And that's
Mm,
what struck me out of this murder scene, Jake. It wasn't what the men did that I felt horrible. That was probably normal to them. What shocked me was how the pig, man, he fought, screamed, and struggled. And I saw me as the victim, I'm fuck. And we say to people, what if you were the victim? And I say this, I said it a number of times yesterday. What if you were sitting on your couch and four big blokes kick your door in and fucking come and drag you out? You would fight, scream, and struggle. No matter if you're going to lose. That pig knew he was going to lose, but he didn't just give up. None of them do. Fucking none of them do. And that's what got me out of that. Now, at that point, I was 53. I'd only ever heard the word vegan once, and it was referred to as a diet. It was on a menu in a restaurant. And whoever was with me, I asked the question, what's vegan then? And I was ill informed and told, that's people who don't eat meat, dairy, and eggs and stuff. And I remember just shrugging my shoulders and just going, oh, yeah, all right. It's a diet.
mm,
Vegetarian. It's a diet. And then about 2 months, and then look, I honestly can't remember if I ate pig again. About 2, 3 months later, probably 2 months, I was new to Facebook, new to social media. I'm still a bit fucking useless on it. I don't really know how it works. My girlfriend showed me how it works, and I found an ex-workmate that we got on well from the trucks, and messaged him, found him, connected, messaged him. Ty Williams was his name, and at the end of a big long chat, he said, because he was vegetarian when we drove trucks, and he goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm vegan now. Check out my page." Can you hear me, Jake? Can you hear me all right?
yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Because I'm getting a circle around on the screen, and he said, I'm vegan now. Check out my page. And I remember saying to myself, "Fuck, there's that word again." And I checked out his page, and
Mhm.
his page was like how my page is now, just murdering animals, every post, like what we do to animals. And with vegan this and vegan that, and I don't remember reading anything about health or environment or fuck. I don't. All I remember is 5 minutes, and my girlfriend walked in the lounge, and she'd heard the videos, the screaming, and she went, "What's all that noise?" And I just looked up at her and said, "We're going vegan." And she went, "What the fuck's that?" And I said, "I'm not fucking paying for this anymore." And because I told her about the pig at the time, and I said, "This is what I saw on Bohol." I said, "I'm not doing this anymore." And so I just instantly cut out meat, dairy, eggs. Eggs was a little bit harder. Actually, no, eggs a little bit longer because I didn't know what was wrong with eggs, and stupidly, is ignorant to the internet, didn't really know how to find out. And then the moment I saw a macerator going, I went, "Oh fuck, that's why vegans don't eat eggs." Right, got it. So it was all that learning curve. Um, but I never had a piece of flesh in my mouth again after that, or dairy, and I just learned it all in that 5 minutes. I cut all that out. And then about a month later, this guy Ty, he actually went offline, closed his account, and I sort of lost my contact into the vegan world. But I had made a couple of friend requests from him, and then I started seeing some posts, and then it started getting momentum. This is all on Facebook, and then it started getting momentum, and then I started commenting, and then I'm tearing my hair out, even though I don't have any, because people are not listening. I spoke to my cousin in the Philippines. I spoke to my friends. No one gives a fuck. No one gave a fuck. I mean, and literally, I went through the health aspect. Within a week or two, I'm fucking feeling great. I'd lost a couple of kilos already. I wasn't particularly overweight, a few kilos, but I just felt fucking awesome.
Mm.
And as I'm stuffing this, because as you remember, the fruit and veg in the Philippines, fucking ace. It's like organic everything. It comes out of the ground. The next thing it's on a table. The next thing it's in your cooking pot. Within a day.
Mm.
Comes with dirt on it.
Mm.
Fucking just delicious and tasty. Like a Filipino onion made me cry. They don't make me cry in Australia. The onions.
Mm.
You ask yourself next time you're cutting an onion. They used to make you cry. I bet they don't anymore.
Mate,
Can you remember?
that's strange because I I must chop 10 kilo of onion a week, with work, and I do actually remember 5 years ago crying a lot more than I do now, but I still do cry. I definitely cried a couple of days ago.
I was probably doing 10 kilos, yeah, but
Yeah,
I cut
I
one
know what you mean.
onion.
Yeah,
I cut one onion now, and it don't do anything. 5,
yeah,
10 years ago, you'd be fucking streaming.
yeah.
So yeah,
It's
look, I
interesting.
was, and literally, I did. I think the typical thing, because I never got outreached. Nobody actually spoke to me. I didn't realise there was a whole vegan movement. And I thought it was not killing animals, not eating animals because it was cruel, and you can be healthy with all this food. So of course I talked food, the environment. I learned a little bit, and it's fucking wrong to hurt animals. And I literally, my friends, my cousin, not fucking interested, just absolutely not interested in being healthy, healthier, or environment.
Mm.
I remember my cousins saying this about the environment. He said, "We're humans, Terry." He goes, "We'll figure something out. We're smart." I think
Mm.
apathy, the apathy.
Yeah.
But that was a bloke
Pe-
actually who used to go. That was a guy who got pissed in his car in the Philippines. Come from the UK, knows the rules. He'd get pissed in his car. I said, "Mate, what if you kill someone?" He goes, "Ah, it's all right." He says, "It's better off if you kill them. We just pay the money, pay the family money." I've gone, man,
wow.
what the
Wow.
fuck?
Wow. Isn't it? I was speaking to someone about this 2 days ago, and he said, like, isn't it mad how people are like obsessed with the wrong things? So it's like he used the example of like stealing something out of a supermarket, and the woman going, what have you got in your pockets? And he's like, well, you chop animals' heads off. You know what I mean? You steal the milk of uh, baby calves, and he's like, well, why do people do so many bad things and then like justify their own? So why can't you see that this is the most evil thing that exists in the modern world? You know what I
And
mean? I
no
know that
one's
we've got
forcing
wars and
them.
whatnot and all that, but
Yeah,
this is like seriously bad.
but what I tell non-vegans is no one is forcing them to be not vegan.
Mm.
You see, because it's been normalised. Like I do a lot of outreach, Jake, and literally you feel like, you know, they got their hands up. Don't force me to be vegan. We can't force you, but no one is forcing you to not be vegan either. You are choosing it. And when you actually point that out to them, Jake, you actually see a light bulb go off because they really went, oh, yeah, actually. I say when you walk in the supermarket and you put your hand on a packet of bacon or a packet of eggs or a block of cheese, you are choosing to do that. No one is forcing you. And the same way I can't force you to buy soy milk or oat milk or vegan bacon or vegan cheese. This is and doing things like that in an outreach, I found it successful because I'm actually breaking that habit. With you walk in as a habit, you know where to go, you know where the products are you want. We all do it. We now do it with our vegan products. You know exactly where it is in the same supermarket. Um, so yeah, no one's forcing them to do anything. That's why I love that comment in Facebook or Insta. Stop forcing us to be vegan. No
Mate,
one's forcing you, mate.
This morning, someone said, someone put out a similar comment, and I said, what's worse? You know, my latest video. What is worse, asking a question or forcing little piglets into gas chambers? There's only
Yeah.
one person forcing here. It's not me. I'm literally just talking and having a conversation. Um, How long after going vegan, Terry, did you think this is so bad? I need to do something about it. I need to do activism.
Well, as I gained get vegan friends on Facebook, I started seeing Joey Carbstrong. He was starting out. This is so 2016 it was we're talking about. So AV weren't really running. Earthling Ed was just getting out there doing outreach. Joey was just doing outreach. And a guy in America, which goes, he goes a lot unnoticed, I think, and that's Chase Avior. Do you follow him? Do you know him?
I think I do, mate. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think I do.
And in you know going back 8 or 9 years, he was I think the first guy I saw with a megaphone, and he was at a hot dog stall just at the side of the road, and
Yeah.
he was going off on this megaphone, and I went fuck, I want to do that. I've always thought, Jake, I've got a big mouth, right, and I usually get into trouble with it. Now I'm using it for something good, you know, like. And I don't give a fuck if I get in. The only trouble I get in is because I'm speaking the fucking truth. But yeah, look, I saw mainly those three: Chase, Avior, Earthling Ed, and Joey. And I saw one of them doing a table with probably Ed, and I've gone, fuck, I want to have a go at doing this. I'm not eloquent enough to be able to be an Ed. I don't think anyone is. And then look, I saw an Earthlings Experience event. Saw that online. People holding TVs with masks on. And then I saw there was one being advertised in Manila, so I was still in the Philippines. Um,
Wow.
and then I found a vegan group in Davao where I was. I was down in Mindanao, and I found this vegan group. And then in that group was a post one day. God, what was his name? He'll come back to me. He posted. He was a Manila vegan activist, and he said, "I'm coming to Davao, try and get you lot together to start some activism." And I went, yeah, and he said, "Who's interested?" And I was the first comment. Yeah, I want to have a go at this. So he came down with a couple of vegan friends, activists. I think we got a couple of laptops, we had a couple of masks, and we got in front of the town hall in the town square. And we did like an Earthlings Experience event, just lined up with TVs. And I started doing my first outreach. And then after that, that dude and his friends went back to Manila, and I was left organising the laptop. I used my girlfriend's laptop. We'd got some flyers which they brought down from Manila. I think someone got hold of Peter Asia, and we got some flyers and info in. And myself and the group that had gone on this event with the Manila vegans, basically I kept that together, and we did about 8, maybe 10 weeks on a Friday evening at a place called Matina Town Square, which is a big entertainment complex, but it's got like a road that goes in, and then it's got like a big market stall that goes, you know, not market, but entertainment venues all inside, and the car park's in the middle type thing. So we were in the walkway going in. Um, and we managed to convince the management that we were doing environmental awareness, right? So we, because we couldn't have done it if we talked about this is vegan animal rights, it wouldn't have got there. And of course, all of us didn't really know the real meaning and what it was really all about. So what we had was environmental videos, but they were of like cowspiracy. That's actually what we showed on a. So it's really vegan, animal rights, and environment. But we also had a load of other footage because Dominion wasn't out, of course, or Land of Hope and Glory. I
Clever.
didn't know how to get. I didn't know how to, where these things came from. Just people appeared and put it on a USB and went, "Yeah, I'd play that." So we had a bunch of videos, and we'd left that playing on a table, and that's where I started outreach. Was in Davao City, and I practiced there for 2-3 months. We did probably 3 months of it, and then I was on a plane back to Australia. Sort of ended up. My girlfriend and I, we didn't break up. We just parted. I quickly, I arrived back in Melbourne. It was freezing from 30 degrees every day. I slipped into depression basically and didn't really know what to do. I was still vegan as fuck. I was didn't want to go into Melbourne, didn't want to go anywhere. I was just fucking became introverted. And then a guy that I'd met who was in AV, I'd met him online on Facebook, John Karapaladis. He just started messaging me and said, "Mate, come into AV in Melbourne." So I did, and I went in, and that was about November 2019. And I've been into Melbourne virtually every Saturday that we've been allowed. We a bit of COVID restrictions, but other than that, like I kid you not, my own event. So by mid 21, about August 21, I realised I knew I had to do my own group because no one else was. AV, they kept cancelling. It would look like it was going to rain. There'd be a dark cloud come over. Cancel. Oh, fuck it. It's our one day a week we get, And I just said, fuck this. I said, I'm starting my own group. And a woman from the Chicken Save movement, she gave me some old stock posters and pictures. She said, "Here, Terry, you take these. I got a feeling you're going to do something with them." 3.5 years later, we're going strong. So the end of 21, my friend and I, Julia, we said, let's start our own group. We had our first event on January 2022. And in November 2022, I had a major dental work and I couldn't do a Saturday. And then 2 weeks later, it bucketed down with rain in the morning and I cancelled it. The thing is, I live an hour and a half out of the city. And by the time the 1 o'clock start time come around, Fine Cloud was gone, the sun was out, and I so pissed off I'd cancelled. And that was November 2022, and we've never missed a Saturday since.
Wow. So you've been doing it
Every
2.5 years non-stop.
non-stop, except there was one, but we still had an event. But we're excluding this one because the whole group went to Sydney for the vegan camp out.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Mate, that's
I
impressive.
can't.
And do you know what? Mate,
Yeah, go on.
you mentioned just that people don't understand that it's in a state of change. It is happening. So you said about the flick of the switch. I've remembered it now. You said people think it's going to be a flick of the switch, but they don't realise
Yeah,
that it's actually happening.
happening.
Albeit, however long it takes. And you alone, like the other day, I was in the gym and I spoke to someone, and he said, "I've turned my missus and my mom and blah blah blah," and I said the same. And we changed 14 people just between two of us, just by a 30-second chat. We
Yeah,
realised we changed 14 people. You alone with your your little crew over in Melbourne, you've done 2.5 years absolutely flat, which is 52 weeks times 2.5, which is like what 120,
130
130.
continuous Saturdays
Like that's
outreach.
And just think how many people, just from you and the little crew, have been enlightened by it. It's powerful, man, and people don't understand this. Someone said to me 2 days ago, "Oh, commenting on the videos as they do. Oh, bless, you think you're making a change?" And I said, "Well, I am. I am making. I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm an earthling head, but what I'm saying is it adds up. It adds up. What you're doing adds up. Every little part of the puzzle is a step forward, and it doesn't matter. I mean, leading on to the next question, you've probably changed. I don't know how many people, man. What positive reactions have you had in this 2.5 year
Look,
stint?
lots. Lots. I mean, this figure doesn't sound a lot, but you've seen our setup, yeah? We got signs, we got pictures, and then we got a couple of TVs.
Mm.
I call it the gauntlet. They come into it, they walk along, and then they're bombarded with all these images. And then
With
they look
Andy, is
up
that
and they
with
see,
Andy with the mic and the pigs? Is it Andy? The
that's
pig?
Andy Faulkner. Yeah.
Are you
No,
with
no,
him? Are you with
no,
that
no, no,
setup
no,
or
no.
no?
No, it's slightly different. He's
Yeah.
stopped that now. He does it because of the screaming. We
Mm.
can't do the screaming because we're in a shopping mall and we'd probably need a permit. And I look, as much as I admire it, I don't want to do it. It's too loud. You can't outreach while you got 100 pigs screaming. So ours is a cross between AV and what Andy does. So we've got images out, large pictures, 900 by 600 and 900 by 1.2 high, with information or pictures or statements. I'll send you a couple of pictures after. And
Mm.
then their eyes, like we watch their eyes. And where we go, we're in Burke Street Mall. One of the guys found a council. It's a council pedestrian counter, and it might be on our side or the other side of the street. But the guesstimate is between 3,000 and 4,000 people per hour walk up and down this mall,
Wow.
and we're there for 4 to 5 hours each Saturday. But so you got these images, usually both sides, and they're looking at them. Wow, as they walk along, and then as they get closer to the TV setup, we're not right in the middle. We actually avoid that because that gets confrontation because
Mm.
you're now in the way. We're off to the side a little bit, but you can't miss us. But it also actually brings people who actually really want to talk to you and not people that you've just pissed off.
Yeah.
So they look up and then they see images on a screen and we're all there waiting to pounce, like I don't wait 20 seconds or as soon as I see their eyes contacting my pictures or the screen, I just ask them if they would like to know what we're doing here today. And they usually try and guess at showing animal cruelty or promoting vegan or vegetarian. And I say, well, we're just showing standard practice in the Australian industry of, meat, dairy, eggs. We now have I now got an upright screen. I managed to turn a TV the same into portrait. And my friend Joanne, who's just a wizard online, she's connected about 30 videos that I sent to her from Instagram of all the horrible things that happen to animals everywhere else in the world. The monkeys on a chain, elephants going crazy in India, bullfighting, cattle. Like I got a video of a cow being picked up with a strap. He's got straps under him. It's being unloaded off a ship. And man, the thing's 100 feet in the air. And it's not stable. The cow moves, mate, and she drops about 90 feet onto her back.
I've seen it, mate. I've seen that one.
And the other one that goes with that is they're loading cattle from the ground into a truck and they put a rope around their neck and just pick them up and load them into the back of the tip truck. So we're showing that in the street. Now, most people are going to say, oh, yeah, but that's wrong. But, we don't do that to animals in our country. That's what everyone thinks, isn't it? We don't do that in our country.
Mm.
But my new I'm always evolving my outreach, Jake. Whatever works,
Mm.
I work on it. Non-vegans give me the ideas for the new questions and the new statements. They help me with this. And where am I going with this? When I've recently started putting in comments and making posts that if you're not vegan, you've lost the right to criticize anything else anyone else does to an animal.
Oh,
The reason being,
what's that one now, mate? Yeah, there's yes, I think it was Cosmic Skeptic, and he said pretty much that, mate. Yeah, he said that if you participate in this, you forfeit your right to judge anyone else on their injustices.
I never heard
Basically, is
that.
what you just said. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've
Crazy, isn't it?
I never followed him. But I actually
Crazy.
come up with that two years ago. I nailed my
It's mad, isn't
friend's
it? It's
son.
mad.
My friend's son 2 years ago. This one's been just simmering away to work into a outreach. I've told him about Dominion, told him about the pigs. His dad, my mate, he's vegan. I got him vegan, showed him 2 minutes of piglet thumping. He went vegan on the spot. He said that was it.
Wow.
And his son, he don't give a fuck. And then his son one day, so after I've explained what happens and, watch Dominion, you've got the link. And his son was sitting outside the shed, a couple of petrol heads working on cars. And his son went, "Oh, Terry, I saw this video the other day of these fucking dolphins in, Iceland or Norway or something. They're fucking killing them on the beach." And I just instantly come out and I went, "No, mate, no, you can't say shit about that." And he looked at me like, "What?" And I said, "No, you pay for pigs to go in a fucking gas chamber, mate." I said, "You're not fucking criticising them." But 2 years later, I've managed to turn that into, now another idiot helped me do this. We've got a constant farmer. We call him the angry farmer. He comes and trolls us very nearly every week. We've nearly had fists with him. Like I really want him to start, but I don't. I don't want to resort to violence. But he really wants to. He wants to hurt me bad. I've made such a fool of him. And a couple of weeks ago, we're showing my portrait screen, and on it came a coyote with his foot in a trap, right? And he's howling. And I looked at the screen. Angry Farmer looked at the screen, and it all started coming together in my head. And I said, "You support that?" He went, "No, I fucking don't. No, I don't. Oh, man, that's fucking wrong. That's horrible." I said, "Mate, no, you support that. And I'll tell you why you support it." I said, "You've killed animals yourself." He told me. "You see animals as objects and a commodity, mate. So do these people who are going to skin this animal and sell his fur. They see him as a commodity." That was the last time we spoke with Angry Farmer. And fuck, man, it hurt him because he shut up. He started shaking. His cheeks shake when he gets angry. I've made him so angry so many times. And now what I did, when you say a million times, Jake, in Facebook or online or in the street, I've said to someone, if you're not vegan, you're a hypocrite. If you're against the dog and cat meat trade, we use that word hypocrite. It always seems to have gone over their head because they know they are. It's no good telling them something that they are, that they know.
Mm.
But when you say to them, in the last 2 weeks, I've used that statement in a few comments. It's the same thing, but it's just worded different. If you're not vegan and you're against the dog and cat meat trade, you've lost the right to criticize it. And what I think it's doing, what I think that comment does, first of all, they read it. I've had angry responses to it, but I've also had support from two non-vegan trolls who both said, "Oh, fuck, man, the vegan geezer's right here. We kill cats, pigs, dogs. We kill cows, pigs, chickens. They kill cats and dogs." That's their culture. This one, I've got the comment on a screenshot. The other one, I didn't screenshot it. 2 of them said, fuck, he's right. Because what they do is examine, as we know when we're outreaching, don't tell someone they're an animal abuser. Ask them if they're an animal abuser. Let them, the Socratic method. Ask them the question, is this animal abuse? Does that make you an animal abuser? Because no one wants me, you're an animal abuser. You're a hypocrite. But when you've said to them, no, mate, you've lost the right to criticise this, they then got to think deeper. Why have I lost? Why is he saying that? And then they come to the conclusion themselves, they're a hypocrite.
That's
And I think
interesting,
it is
mate, because
worth
yeah. The question,
trying.
mate, is mad.
Trying.
I've seen a good reaction, or not so much a good reaction, just I'm surprised at their reaction when I say to people, "Why is it that you think that you behave like this? What is it that made you defend violence? Have you always been like this, or is it something that happened?
Yeah.
What is it that made you say that?" And I've noticed that gets a different reaction. Because then they start to, it goes a level deeper. Then it's not
Yeah.
just like I'm saying,
Yeah.
you're being violent and I'm not violent. It's like, well, why is it that you believe that? Who told you this? Do you know what I mean? It is
Yeah.
interesting,
Yeah.
actually.
Well, it's their defense mechanism, isn't it? Coming out. They're trying to find something to feel better. I had a troll
Mm,
come back after 2 days just this week. I slapped him round the face a few times after he's jumped on my post, trying to make a fun of me, and I've ended up making a fool of him. And
mm.
then, like 36 hours later, he came back and asked me if I take money off Israelis. He's clutching at straws, mate. He suddenly thought, "Oh, I'll get him. I'll get him." And then I said, "Mate, I don't know who the fuck I get money off, or I don't get money. Who gives me money?" And then he goes, "Well, if you're paying taxes, you're paying the Israelis." And so what does he want me to do? He now wants me to fucking give him my job and be homeless. And
Yeah,
yet he's not. He's not.
yeah, yeah,
They want us to do things that they won't do.
yeah.
They're insane. But it is
But
literally, they're digging deep for excuses. Now, the other thing, Jake,
yeah,
everybody out there in non-vegan world now, they all know a vegan. Whether they're vegan like us or they're vegan foodies, they're hearing the word every single day. And it's starting to get at them.
yeah, big time,
The
mate.
pressure's on.
Right, let me read you a post. Going on to these little digs that you said where they'll come at different angles. So I mentioned the word creamy, and someone commented saying,
I saw that. I saw it.
"Did you see it?" And then it went on to that I'm mentally ill with psycho eyes. So then I replied to that and said I've been punched 3,000 times in the face. Then he's gone from punch in the face to I think I'm hard, and then I explained how do I think I'm hard if I've been punched in the face. Then he started talking about how I'm not wired up right and most won't pass up the chance to eat meat. And then he finally ended with, I bet you're for open borders as well, wanting our country to be flooded by third worlders. So he's gone from talking about cream to my eye socket to I think I'm hard to most animals won't pass up the chance of eating meat to you are pro immigration. All because he loves bacon sandwiches. It's just incredible.
And and he's just trying to feel better.
Yeah.
He's trying to help himself sleep at night.
Terry, you're doing a wonderful job, and you've had a lot of positive reactions and whatnot. What is a bad one that you've had? And I think you mentioned a story the other day about. Tell us the story about the bloke outside the shop who shouted to the kids.
Oh, the overage troll. Look, this
Mhm.
guy come past us. We got a couple of TVs up, the pictures out, and everything. And look, he was. What can I say? It was just a typical 50-odd bastard. And he's looking at. They get jittery, he's scratching his head and he didn't know what to say, and he's looking at the screen, looking at the pictures. I'm standing next to my screen. I got a couple of girls on the TV. We always keep one of the guys with the girls when they're on the TVs. And because the Australians, mate, they fucking go for the women. There's 4 or 5 guys stood there, and we got 5, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 women. And you'll see these fucking big dudes come up and get in the face of the women. They won't come up and get in my face or Vic, you know, and we're not big guys, but they'll go and stand in front of the women and go, fucking get a steak in you. And I'm talking 40 plus year olds, right? We've got a 75-year-old vegan, Linda vegan granny. She's 5 foot tall, right? And she gets people her age, men her age, in her face, telling her not to be fucking stupid. You fucking stupid old woman, go home. I've heard all those things thrown at, and I'm stepping over, and they're gone. You know, for old geezers, they're fucking running up the road. But anyway, this guy's come into our little area, and he's seen me stood there, and he's throwing his arms around him. And he's, oh, no, this isn't fucking Australia. This is somewhere else. I said, mate, it's a standard practice in Australia. This is RSPCA. Fuck you. He said, look, we need to eat meat. And I said, why? You know, I can't remember all the words, the whole conversation, and he's basically come out with, you know, you'll need meat when you get to my age. And I said, well, what age is that? And he said, I'm 55. And I said, well, I'm 59. So what's going to happen? And he just went, oh, fuck you, you know, fuck you. And then these four late teen, early 20-year-olds went by. These 4 young lads walked by, and he's sort of swiveled and he's pulled at there, you know, sort of indicated to them. He's gone, hey guys, he said, what do you think of these fucking idiots? And 3 of them, or one of them, responded and said, well, 3 of us are vegan and we're working on the other guy. And he just went, he just screamed, you know, fuck you, you cunts, whatever, and you know, like, and
I
walked
mean,
off. You know,
that definitely would have gone to bed with him that day, that night.
oh yeah. I mean, he was another horrible guy. You know, that was 2 or 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago or something.
Mate, it is interesting how they don't want to face the blokes, and I've always wondered a lot. You know, a lot of my family are like, you know, what you're doing is going to cause you to get into trouble, or you know, implying that I'm going to get, you know, slapped around the ear at some point. But I spoke to Joey about it, and Joey said he's even had trolls come up to him and shake his hand and be like, "Oh, I'm the bloke who was arguing about this," and you know, and that. So a lot of it behind the screen is just saddos who want to give you a bit of shit, but um, in person, I think it's a lot different, isn't it? Unless obviously you're a 75-year-old Linda who is an easy target for the bullies.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. I've been look. I'm Jake. I've got a bad habit of actually, you know, poking them where it hurts. You know, when they look. I remember we've got a big poster. It's 1,200 mil high, 900 wide, and there's a picture of a calf on it, and it says, "In the Australian dairy industry, bobby calves are killed from 5 days old." And I'm stood with that, and this guy, I saw this, like, we watch people as they're approaching and leaving and stuff. And this guy's just eyeballed me, and he's walked over, and so it's up to my chest, you know, like it's up this high on me because I'm only fucking 175. And anyway, he's just leaned in towards me, not aggressively, and he's read the poster, and he's just leaned in, and he's gone, "What are we supposed to fucking do with him?"
Wow.
So, and then he's walked off. So I just responded with, "How about not breed them?" And he come back with, you know, "It's my fucking job," or something like that. And then this is where I used to get into trouble, Jake. I've had to stop doing this because I was always accused of this when I was a kid. I got to get the last word in. My dad was the same. I got it from my
Mm.
dad.
Mm.
So as he's walking off, he's now 20 metres away. And I just shouted out and I went, "Do you jerk the balls off yourself?" And he came back. He turned around. He heard me, all right. He came back. Oh, man, the guy was like 4 feet wide, about my height. And I thought, oh, fuck, it's on. We're on, you know? And he's just glaring at me. And he just came out and fucking shoved me into the shoulder and then turned and walked straight off. We're under CCTV and stuff. So that really got him, obviously, because he probably does jerk the balls off himself. And I nearly, well, you see, this is me and my mouth. I nearly followed it up with, I'll take it that was a yes. You know, that's what I could have finished it off. But I didn't want to cause a mass fight in the street at animal
Mm.
rights. But
Mm.
yeah, look, so you'd call that assault. Another guy, I think he was a bit homeless. He was a bit of a mental case. He came annoying us one day. And when I sort of tried to persuade him to leave, he started spitting in my face. He fucking got arrested. He pissed off in the end, and we called the cops, and the cops came, and they actually knew who he was. And then the guy came back to have another go while the cops were interviewing me. So they
Mm.
just threw him against the fucking wall and took him away. Never saw him again. What else? Oh yeah, the guy, yeah, this 20-something-year-old. It's in a volatile bit of Melbourne, but we got good outreach, but we did attract a lot of trolls. Anyway, this
Mm.
21, 22-year-old, he's come into the group, throwing his arms around, you fucking idiot vegans. He kicked a sign. He kicked one of my posters. He was just threatening and being a fucking general arse, you know. And anyway, so he's leaving the area, and I've sort of followed him to make sure he didn't come back. And I had a fellow activist, one of the girls with me, standing next to me. She's always ready with a camera. And he sort of stood 3 or 4 meters away, and he's coughed up and then fucking gobbed. And it went down, missed my boot by about 2 inches.
Wow.
Actually, no, he was a meter or so away from me, a meter and a bit away from me. And I just looked at the ground. I went, "You fucking spat at me." And he went, "Yeah, but I missed." And I just went, well, my mate taught me this. And he said, "Get the palm of your hand, just put it into their face. Don't touch him. It blocks the vision." Right.
Mm.
And he went fucking way backwards. Yeah, I could have just piled into him, Jake. I didn't.
Mm.
What I did was put my hand in front of his face so he didn't spit at me again.
Mm.
Or, you know, he couldn't see me. And my mate said it takes the vision away. It throws them out. And yeah, he did. He ended up walking backwards, calling me names. And then half an hour later, he came back and then shoved his phone right in my face. So he ended up on the ground with his phone in about 4 pieces. So
Wow,
I
brilliant.
won't go. Yeah, I won't go into detail, but I put him down, um,
Quality.
and the best. But the best part of that was it was 2 days after my 60th birthday, and then I told
Oh.
him. I said, "You just been put down by a fucking pensioner, mate. Now fuck off." And,
Mate, that's the lowest of the
but
low, and it's
yeah,
spitting.
you know, like, but yeah, I've had to try and like control myself a bit better. Like I wind them up. So
Mate, at the end of the
yeah,
day, I've learned that I don't want to be going out causing rows, but conflict is what people like to watch. And if you've got that on camera with him falling back and breaking his phone and whatever, and especially spitting at you, he gets eyes. And when you
yeah.
get eyes, you get people who change their ways, man. Do you know what I mean? Then that's what
Yeah,
we
well,
need.
I've got another one to tell you. When a kid, 15-year-old, ran off with our sign. So these are the times I've been into altercations.
That's
There
theft.
was this fifth. Yeah, that's right. So one of my guys walked into the tram tracks in the mall, and they just sort of followed him, and he's waving the sign. "Yeah, I got your sign, you know." And he's like 15. He had a mate with him, and what I did was run up the fucking wing. I went up the outside. It was like back in the football mode, and I circled round. And the kid was walking away, but he was facing me, mate. He was walking straight towards me, and I was just stood there. And when he turned around, he looked at me and fucking froze. And I grabbed my picture and just fucking ripped it out of his hand and walked away. Now, one of the other activists, she blamed me, but I'll send you the video. You can see who caused it. She started filming him and telling him basically it was illegal, now piss off sort of thing. But she's filming him. And then he's now made a move. I'm walking back to our camp, back to our event. We're 50 metres away, mate, 40 metres away. And this kid has now gone for this girl who is small. She's got MS. She uses a stick. And she was there really just filming. But she fucking caused this, mate. I fucking got, I probably shouldn't have said that either. This kid's gone for her. So I've now had to go and intervene and put myself between them two. And that little cunt fucking spat in my face. He got me in the face and turned and legged it. And man, I just got the back of his shirt. Like, I'm pretty quick. And I got the back of his shirt, held on to him. He kicked me about 10 times, trying to kick me around the back, and he couldn't get a good kick on me. And then this fucking dude, I think he was like an in-store detective or something. This dude came out. Like, I wanted to try and put him down, but he was just unwieldy. I just had hold of his cotton shirt, it was all slipping around. Anyway, this big dude came out and just grabbed him by the wrist and the ankle and slammed him on the ground, sat on him. We then let him go after about a minute because all the public, that's all they saw. Oh, leave the kid alone, right? We're now the bad guys, right? And the big guy said to me, look, you all right? And I went, yeah, of course I'm all right. He said, I'm going to have to let him go, Anyway, they jumped up. The kid jumped up, took off with his mate. The cops then arrived. They'd been called. And, got a quick description. And he said, yeah, we'll be back. And I said, mate, they would have gone. They've been gone 2 minutes, 90 seconds. I said, they would have gone through there and they're gone. Less than 20 seconds later, I'm hearing this screaming out, fucking leave me alone, you cunts, you fuck off. And the cops come out with this kid. And I went, is this him? And I went, yeah, that's him. Anyway, mate, they fucking slammed him up against the wall, put him on a concrete, cuffed him and took him away.
Yeah.
So that was 2 years ago. So.
I mean, how addicted to breast milk have you got to be to steal a sign, spit in someone's face, and cause that commotion? Do you know what I mean? It's crazy, isn't it?
And basically attack a woman. He could have punched her because he got there before me, but he just did he went like that and froze, like she shit herself.
When I was younger, we did some silly stuff, and I remember being just your typical, 14, 15, 16, 17, stupid behaviour. But like, I always wonder how I would have reacted to the likes of you in the street with signs, because I don't think I would have, like, I really, really don't think I would have reacted like some of these people do. I actually think I would have listened. I really do.
Well, there's a look. It is very different here, mate. Australia. The youth crime rate is rife. It is well up,
really?
And it's because they don't get punished. They just don't get punished. They get bail they do break-ins. And anyone under 18, mate, they get away with whatever they want, and they know they can. They just know they can, and it's bloody sad. It's really sad. And this is why they do it. We are constantly when we're doing outreach, constantly on the lookout for groups of teenagers. They'll come and harass us. We've had chicken thrown at us, KFC. We've had half a meat pie thrown at us. Somebody went and I'm going to guess they stole it. They went to a supermarket because the price was still on it. It was $7, $8 for 2 pieces of lamb flesh in a packet. And that was thrown on the floor in front of our TV. Then they run off. They just run off. So they've gone and risked, stealing to come and piss us off. And all I did was we just went and put it in a bin and, said sorry to the poor lamb, like
Yeah,
that's all you
the
can
lamb got
do.
stabbed in the neck,
Yeah,
violated, murdered, to be chopped into pieces, shipped to the
yeah,
supermarket, stolen off the shelf, and to be slapped onto the floor, and then eventually put in the bin and said sorry to.
yeah,
I mean, what a world!
yeah. I didn't even want to give it to the homeless people, like I just, you don't know what the kids have done with it. So
Mm.
I just, but that's, and when I was in the UK, I did a bit of outreach. None of that. Didn't see any of that from kids.
Mm.
Just didn't
Yeah,
see it.
it's
Totally
strange.
different
It's
respect
strange
level.
because it's weird because I've been to 50 odd countries and I've always said England is the roughest place.
No.
But in a way, you hear stories like that because when I was in Australia, like we were the bad ones. You know what I mean? Like nothing really happened. Like it was just very chilled. You know, maybe I was lucky. I just didn't see much really going on. And then I compared it to England, and I was like, man, we like, over here we are. It's terrible, man. But maybe things have changed, man. This was like 10 years ago, so
The,
maybe
the misogyny, the misogyny here is horrible to watch. You just see
mm,
it happening.
weird, isn't it? It's strange because
The figures. If you did a quick search, you'd find that something like 1 in 3 15-year-old girls have been sexually assaulted in one way or another. 1 in 3
Jesus.
15-year-old, one in 4 or something like that.
Mm,
By the time they're 21, it's 1 in 3 have been raped or violently assaulted. It,
wow.
it's it, it, it's mate, it's got worse.
Mate,
Yeah,
the world
when
is
I
just
got
good
here,
against evil, isn't it? The world is good against evil, and the
yeah,
vegan thing falls on this side, and then
yeah, it's look, when I got here in the 80s, it was very much male dominated, um, and but there wasn't the hate, there wasn't the disrespect.
mm,
Women might belong in the kitchen, but it was a respectful kitchen. It wasn't get in the kitchen or get me a beer. It was please get me a beer. Please can you cook dinner?
mm,
I remember when I got here and staying with a girlfriend and her parents and stuff. Like all we ate was salad and frigging steak,
mm,
and salad consists of non-vegan salad, mate.
mm,
Cucumber, tomato, and onion.
mm.
That's all they can muster. Um, or in winter, it was a couple of veg and a steak,
Mm,
steak. Mate, 87, 88 when I got here, I was eating steak 5 times a week.
mm,
I was lucky if I had steak 5 times a year in the UK.
mm. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. We was the same, mate. We was the
No,
same. We were the same down in St Kilda, man. Barbecues
yeah,
3 times a week. Bloody, I remember eating this piece of pork I'd never seen before, and it was like a luxury piece of pork. And I remember eating it, and I was like, "Oh, bloody, that's beautiful." And I think back now, and you just think there was never that connection, not even in the slightest. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It was never that. There was just no connection there whatsoever with the whole
yeah,
process and the victim. Um, but
yeah.
Terry, before we go, touch on what you said earlier with the movement being in progress, man, and not being a flick of a switch. What changes have you seen, and where do you see it going?
Okay. Well, look, I've read these online. Greyhound racing is now coming to an end in New Zealand, end of this year, I think.
Mm,
And then shortly after that, I found out, or I saw a post that said Ireland is ending greyhound racing. um, when I was talking about, so there's 2 countries. I believe the American greyhound racing, there's a lot of their politicians are fighting, lobbying to end it in the US. You still there? Yep.
mhm,
Um, and I've believe the Australian politicians, sorry, the American politicians have started encouraging Victorian Australia politicians and Australian politicians. It's time to end greyhound racing. So it's in the process. So that's that industry. Horse racing, I think, will not end, but start being reduced. Jumps racing is being reduced, being stopped. The fur, go to the fur, which we got heavily involved with at the end of last year. Baluti that I touched on before, they were selling fox and raccoon, so they were targeted, and we did Louis Vuitton, Baluti, and Dior for about 9 weeks, 10 weeks running, just to give them some constant pressure. That was before Christmas and over New Year and that. Then we backed off. We had a rest. I just needed a bloody rest from shouting every week in a megaphone. And then we went back. We did the three again because they're all within 200 meters of each other in one street. Isn't that nice of them to put them all together? So yeah, we just go and walk along the street, and the cops end up finding us always at Dior at the last one, and then I generally outreach the coppers, and then they sort of want to leave. So it's usually good. But then the last time we did the fur, we went back about a month, or maybe 6 weeks ago now. We went back. We said, yeah, we'll do Louis Vuitton, Baluti, Dior. We'll give them another hit. We're walking up the road, and the Baluti store is closed. We looked across, and we felt like it was a win. The store did not close because of us. We're not naive, right? But when you went online, it says permanently closed. The probably 15 times that we went and stood outside Baluti, we only saw a customer once in there, one customer. So they've closed through lack of business, but it's an indication. People are changing in the fur and the leather and the wild animal skin world. The Australian Fashion Week just recently announced, and it was applicable from that moment, wild animal skin, fur and feathers will be banned from every fashion show in the whole of Australia. Right? So that is coming. We're working on it. It's little wins here, there, everywhere. And then probably 6 weeks ago, surely you know about this, after years and years of continual campaign against Adidas for killing kangaroos, they've announced they are going to stop killing kangaroos for their shoes. And that came in, I've been in the Adidas store, or the team has been in there. We've been in there twice. One of my members nearly got in a fight with a bloody manager. They were bloody going at each other full on. Anyway, eventually they've pulled the pin. They're going to move to cow leather, but I've already read it's going to cost them more money. Right? So this is how, and you can't stop the cow leather industry yet because it's too big. But you could stop the kangaroo wild animal, right? So that's another win. Within a week, Jake, Essex, the other sports brand, or another one, I didn't even know they use kangaroo skins. They waved the white flag. They waved the white flag and says, okay, we're following Adidas. And then only another 2 weeks ago, there's another brand. It's now just ASC. There's another sports brand, which I didn't even know about, has now said they'll stop using kangaroo skin. So they were only using it because Adidas was leading the way. Right? So before we've even targeted their stores, they've gone, nah, fuck, we're out. Because they know what we're going to do. Like I was already planning on Mizuno, that's the one. I started searching for a Mizuno store in Melbourne because Adidas have stopped kangaroos. Essex had stopped killing kangaroos. And I found out Mizuno still did. Fucking 2 weeks ago, they announced they're going to stop killing kangaroos.
Just 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's three. That's three. Adidas, Essex, and Mizuno in the last 2 months have said they will stop using kangaroo skin.
Quality. Mate, that's really good news, man.
So we are winning, mate. We are winning.
This is
and
it.
they're just little, they're
you're
little
not making a
battles.
difference. Nothing will change, like you've said. And mate, you're the first person I've heard say that. You've said it is happening, and that's positive to hear, man. It's good to hear. Do you know what I mean? It's a long way
Horse
off,
and
but
carriage. Horse and carriage in Melbourne. They used to do tourist rides. Constant
mm,
pressure. Activists emailing the council. I stopped. I used to park my motorbike when I went to AV, and I used to park my bike where they did that's one of their stops, and they'd have a rest.
mm,
And I started questioning them. I thought, fuck, I'm an activist now.
mm,
And I went, mate, why are you doing this? Those horses should be at home in the field.
mm,
Oh, they enjoy it. No, fuck, mate. They're out here with the traffic.
mm.
You know, like,
You should have
this is
jumped.
not where
Mate, you
they
should
should
have
be.
jumped on his back. Jump on his back and say, "Take me to the
And,
bloody Burke Street."
and
Do you know what I mean?
about 2 years ago, they were kicked out of the city. They're not allowed to do it in the city anymore. So
Quality.
they're basically closed. They were actually told to go to the suburbs. It wasn't ended. But that's the way of. Then they had to choose to end. So they were restricted. Sorry, they were allowed to be in the city, and then they had the city restricted to them. They weren't
Mm,
allowed. So they were only allowed to do it in a suburb,
mm.
and there was no business. There was
Quality.
no business, so they packed up.
Yeah,
We won again.
it's another
So
win. Another
little
win on the
wins,
board.
mate.
Yeah, and this is it,
We're
mate.
going
This is it. It's
like the Allies didn't win World War II with one battle, did they?
mm,
You know, it was, no war is won with one battle,
no, mate.
and this is a
It's
fucking
quality.
war.
It's nothing but positivity, man. I'm really glad to hear everything you've said
It's a
in the last
fucking
hour.
war, mate, and we're winning. It's a war against the animals, and
Every
the
day is
only
war.
ones that are, yeah, the only ones they've got is us, mate. And that's how I feel.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Terry, I could speak to you all day, mate, and all night, but I have
yeah,
got to go, so I'll have to wrap it up, mate. But thank you.
yeah,
It's
no
been,
worries.
mate. I know you're coming over. You're coming back. You're coming back to the UK to live. But are
I,
you coming
I
to
am.
DCO?
I am. It's gonna be a year plus away. It's gonna be. I've got a lot of shit here to sell. Um, I've got motorbikes and cars to sell, and the economy's not great for selling at the moment, so I don't want to give this stuff away.
Hold on to
But
it. Get what you can.
I just want to get what I can. I got a good job. It's paying well. But I've had enough of work, mate. I'm 62,
Mm.
and I want to go screaming into a fucking Tesco's with a megaphone.
Yeah. Well, mate, this is it, man.
Or
I'm sure that we'll join forces when you come over. Are you going
uh,
to VCO in August?
no, no, no. I'm not going to be able to get over there. Well, probably till next year now if I
Yeah.
do
Stay.
come.
Yeah. You.
Um,
It's a long way and it's a lot of money in it, so you might as well do what you
yeah,
can. Selling wise.
I'm basically setting up to come back to live. So there's no
Mm.
point coming for a VCO and then coming back here.
No.
That'll blow $5,000 doing that. So
Yeah.
um,
It's
and
an expensive few days,
it
isn't it,
is.
mate? And it's bad enough
Yeah.
with the food truck, so I can imagine what it'd be like with a 24-hour flight on top and hotels
Well,
and
yeah,
whatnot.
look,
So,
like last year, well, all up, it cost me. I lost pay as well because I don't get paid when I'm not at work. And I put a total figure on it of about $8,000.
wow.
So
Yeah.
with lost work, the money I didn't earn,
Yeah.
and the flight and the money, I didn't spend lots in England because I didn't want to, and I just live economically as I can anyway.
Mm,
Um, I'm not a rich guy, so I
mm,
work hard for my money.
mm.
Fucking lifting stainless steel all day. That's what I'm doing. So
Bloody hell.
I work hard for my money, and I like to spend it wisely.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, you have
but
to, mate, these
I
days,
will
innit?
be
You have
over.
to.
I'll be there to live, and I want to go walking in a farm with you, and in the middle of the day. That's awesome doing that stuff.
Yeah, mate,
Um,
it's definitely a different approach, isn't it? And it's definitely one that pisses
it
people off.
is
So we'll definitely join
because
forces and have a little jog.
you're just asking questions. Yeah, you're just asking questions. There's no clue who you are or what your intentions are.
Mm,
You could be a bacon lover going, "Hey, man, I want to see how they are."
mm.
It's
Yeah, I just love
it's
my bacon. I'm just
ambiguous.
addicted to that sandwich. You know what I mean? I just need to know the truth. I need to. In fact,
Yeah,
I'm quite pleased to see it. I like to look at the roots of my sandwich. You know what I mean?
Well,
Oh,
like you said in a recent video in a shop or something, you said, I want to know if they're gassed to death because I don't like that. It doesn't taste good. So,
mm,
you're not telling them you're vegan, but you
yeah.
just gave them a really good bit of information. So,
They haven't
but
got to put the
anyway,
defence
mate,
up.
go and do
They
your
haven't got
day.
to put the guard up when I'm, when you approach it like that. So it is different, mate, isn't it? Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, mate, Terry, that's great, mate. Like I said, I could talk to you all day and night, mate. Thank you for your
I
time,
know
and
we could.
I look forward to you coming
We
over,
could.
man. And I hope you can
Yeah,
get your belongings sold and come and do some
yeah,
farm running. And yeah, thank you very much, man.
yeah. Go and do some. Look, thanks for your videos, man. I don't know how we managed to miss each other for so long.
I know.
Um, I just saw. I think I saw a video of yours and pressed follow. I think, and then or a comment. I think I just commented on something.
Yeah,
So
that was it, mate.
no,
Yeah.
it's good. Glad I bumped into you. Glad I bumped into you.
Likewise, Terry, man.
So
Likewise, man.
all right, Jake. You have a good day, mate. You have a good
Thank
day.
you, mate. Good night, man. Take it easy. Cheers, Terry.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Yeah,
mate.
all the best.
Bye
See ya.
bye.
So drive
And
into Melbourne. We do street outreach, Vegan Action Melbourne. Quite often, usually, I mean, we haven't done it for a few weeks now. I'm having a bit of a rest, but we do disruptions, supermarkets. Last one was MacPack. They're a brand like Kathmandu. They do down jackets, and we just visited them and just gave them showed them some visual of what goes on in the down system, in the down industry in Asia, mainly China. We before Christmas we started a campaign against Louis Vuitton, Berluti, and Dior for their fur products. Berluti, they only use raccoon and fox, so they were the target for the worldwide campaign. They're connected with Louis Vuitton, and as you know, Jake, it's easier to knock off the small industries first. You know, like the world isn't going to go vegan overnight. And what I've just actually realised just recently is all the anti-vegans. They think, this is my thoughts and my opinion. They think that the world is going to go vegan when everybody turns vegan, and that's not how it's going to happen.
mm-hmm.
The funny thing is, the vegan world is happening. It's already changing. And what I usually tell them in a comment is they're so blinded by their ignorance, they can't even see the changes happening because they think it's just going to be a switch one day and everybody has to be vegan.
Wow.
We probably only, this is my opinion, this is my thoughts, and
Mm.
like we probably only need 3, 4, 5% of the population to be vegan to start ending these industries. The
Mate,
exposés that I'm seeing from the UK in the pig industry and the dairy industry in particular, and Joey Carbstrong recently with the chickens, I think UK is going to be the first plant-based country in the Western world. I was there last year, couldn't believe all the other alternatives and choices we got. It's cheap. Food is cheap in the UK compared to Australia. It's basically half the price, like literally half the price. I
mm.
was shocked. Bananas in Tesco's when I left in August were a third of the price than what they are in my supermarket in Melbourne for a kilo of
Wow.
bananas.
Mate,
And
I
they're
remember,
grown. They're grown here.
I, remember,
It's unbelievable.
I remember paying. I think New Zealand was worse, but like I remember paying ridiculous money for food over there. But I was there back in
Yeah,
2014, and I can only imagine what the what the replicas and the mock meats cost. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
But before we get on to that, Terry, what
yeah.